As an artist, one of the questions you often get is, what inspires you? Well, for me, it has always been, and always will be, Star Wars. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the underground lair where we bring our creations to life. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. I'm a professional illustrator, designer, and mad creator who probably wouldn't be any of those things if it wasn't for Star Wars. Star Wars is a huge inspiration for me. It always has been since I was a little kid, and even right now with the stuff that's coming on right now, even though, some of it I like, some of it I'm like, it's still inspiring to me. And because of that, I've been diving back into some of the making of art books and just diving into some of that stuff and looking at some of the visions that are coming out, some of the stuff that doesn't even get to the screen. It's still an inspiration for me. When I am just trying to come up with an idea for a new concept or something, I'll dig into some of these books and I'll just look at things and let that inspire me, because these are some of the things that inspired the people that are making the movies now and that were making the movies back when I was a kid. I mean, I've been getting these things since I was a kid. This is my Empire Strikes Back notebook with all the storyboards and everything. But then I've got, the original series making of, or the art of books from Star Wars. So much cool stuff to see in there. And, and I continued, I've got my set from the prequels, all those. And then I kind of stopped collecting them. And then recently I went back and I found, at Costco, they had these Mandalorian art of books, and I picked those up. And man, it just all came back to me. I'm like, you know what? And since then I have started buying other ones. I've got this art of Galaxy's Edge, and I've been to Galaxy's Edge, and it was just such an immersive experience, and it just made me feel like I was in the world, and to kind of go and see how they created that, it fuels my imagination once again. And now I'm kind of going back and getting some of the movies that I didn't have, the more recent ones. This is the Rise of Skywalker, which, this is one of those that was kind of, I'm not sure if I was 100% on board with the way this whole story wrapped up and everything, but there was, the thing I can say about it, Star Wars, good, bad, whatever, there was some great stuff in there visually, and just to see, what they had planned, or some of the things that they maybe didn't use or didn't implement or whatever, and there's a ton to see in that movie, story aside or whatever. And if you're a fan of this movie, that's great. Everyone's got their own Star Wars that they like or whatever, but the thing behind it that I like to dive into is that no matter what it is, there's something great in there, and you can find great stuff in these books. So, like I said, that's been inspiring me. So I just want to talk a little bit about the reason and kind of my story as a creative and why I was so inspired by Star Wars ever since I was like a little kid. And while I do that, I'm going to go ahead and color in this sketch I did of Cad Bane. Most recently, you saw him in the latest Boba Fett show, so definitely check that out. And I'm just going to talk about Star Wars and why it inspired me. I have a very special connection to Star Wars, and understand I was alive, I was around, I was a kid when the originals premiered, and I don't know, unless you were there, I'm not really sure if you can fully understand the phenomenon that Star Wars was. I mean, you can read about it, but I was there, and it just captivated me like nothing else. I was young, so there wasn't a whole lot else previous to that, but it really did. It was like nothing that anyone had really ever seen before. And granted, Star Wars was inspired by like the works of or writings of Joseph Campbell, Akira Kurosawa, Frank Herbert's Dune. There is definitely inspiration, but the way that it was executed, Lucas brought, what he brought together, what he achieved with Star Wars. Just the special effects were mind-blowing. And nowadays you can do almost anything you want with CGI, and it's cool because really there's no limitations. But back then, there was something special about figuring out, how do we do this? How do we bring this world to life using, using the technology that we have right now. And, so it was just a huge inspiration for the imagination of artists and filmmakers, visionaries, and I was no different. I poured over, like I said, the art of books, the making of documentaries. I mean, watching how they achieve some of those special effects, kit bashing and putting together all that stuff, the stop motion that they were using back then. It was crude, but it was just really incredible how they could bring that stuff to life. And even like just the sound design, watching Ben Bird out there with the pipe wrench banging it against a taut like electrical wire to get the sound of those laser blasts. I mean, this is all revolutionary stuff that really hadn't been done. It's all figuring things out, and that's what makes the gears in my head turn and my imagination just go wild. But yeah, just diving into some of these art books and start me revisiting some of these and checking out some of the newer ones and all the things that didn't actually make it to the screen. The stuff it's for me, a lot of the times it's the stuff you didn't see. Like I remember as a kid going through the original art of books for Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And some of the stuff that, like, where was this in the film? This is cool. Why didn't they use this? This is way cooler. And it's so, for me, it's really cool to see some of that stuff that didn't make it to the screen and like, oh, maybe, and it sparks a story. Like, who is this character? I like this guy, maybe I can come up with something and that can spark my imagination in different directions. And even though I'm not working on like a space story or a future sci-fi fantasy or anything like that, it still translates into other media and genre. And so I just love looking over these books and, from the past and the newer stuff. And yeah, it's just really, for me, it's just, Star Wars has just left this lasting impression that continues on till today. So, I mean, everyone has their own Star Wars, whether you grew up with the originals or maybe, people that grew up when the prequels, first premiered. Some people, that's their, Star Wars or the sequels. And, whether it's, a lot of times it's where you grew up and your first introduction, and that's the stuff you like. And that's cool. I mean, for me, there's a lot of stuff that I like. I mean, and that goes the same for the originals. I mean, even with, the Return of the Jedi, there were things in there that I wasn't like, even as a kid, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. With the newer stuff, I mean, I love Mandalorian, and there's, just that to me is, it's just bringing back a lot of the stuff that I love about Star Wars and presenting some new things as well. And that's kind of what I do when I look at some of the art books and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a different take, or that's something new. And, and I really try not to get too attached to it, because like I said, there's so much Star Wars. If I like 25% of what's coming out now, to me, that's still more than I was getting as a kid. So there's just so much stuff, and I really, I try to let that stuff inspire me. And instead of just complaining about the stuff I don't like, I like to look at the stuff that I do like, and the stuff that I don't like, then I can think to myself, well, okay, what would have done differently, and then maybe even take that story a step further and maybe kind of work it into a story of my own, separate from Star Wars, but still using that as an inspiration. Sometimes it's the things that you enjoy that can inspire you. Sometimes it's a thing that you're like, oh, maybe I could do a little better, or maybe I just have and better or for worse, or maybe I just have a different take. Because everyone's expecting something different. So, for some people that, something that may come out right now may hit the mark perfectly. They may love it. And some people, it's like, that's not what I expected, because everyone's expecting something different. Everyone has something else in their mind, something different in their mind of what Star Wars is. But the thing is, it's so much easier to destroy things than create things, that people just take the easy way out. And, I've always said, haters hate, creators create. So if you don't like something, that's fine. Use that to fuel your creativity. But actually do something about it. I'll continue to watch Star Wars. Some of it I'll like, some of it maybe I won't like as much. And like I said, that goes all the way back to the originals. This is nothing new. but I never want to lose sight of what inspired me and what will inspire me, things that I'm watching now, and take that stuff and let that stuff inspire me. And just like it does the people that are making Star Wars now. Maybe they have a different vision, but they have a vision. So if you're going to complain about things without actually creating anything new, to me, you're not really helping, you're not contributing. And you can get a lot of people on board, and then you can just go back and forth, and people are going to agree with you about how bad something is or how horrible something is, and you can get a lot of clicks. I try not to get too attached to that stuff. Honestly, I am just too busy making stuff to worry about complaining about every little thing. And if you're somebody that likes to complain about every little thing, maybe try creating something, and maybe that might be good therapy for you. Maybe you won't be so angry about every little thing. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm a much happier person finding things that I like and trying to improve on some things that I don't like, and just using that to fuel my creativity. And Star Wars is a great way to do that. No matter where you want to dive into that universe, there is a whole galaxy of cool stuff that you can mine from and get ideas from. So dive in. All right, there you go. That is my Cad Bane. This is part of a whole series of drawings that I did of all the bounty hunters from Star Wars, and I've colored a few of them on the channel. I'll probably color a few more. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that, and just talking about my experience with Star Wars and its creative impact on me. I'll also, again, I urge you, no matter what you think about the new Star Wars movies or whatever, and I'm a fan of a lot of it, and a lot of it, I maybe could use some improvement or whatever, but I'm using that to fuel my own creativity. I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it, because any Star Wars, the fact that there's so much coming out right now. I mean, this is in a world when I grew up with, where you got one Star Wars, if anything, every 2 or 3 years at the very most. So it's kind of cool. But no matter, like I said, no matter what you think, check out some of these books and get inspired, because there is so much cool stuff in these books. If I can remember, I will leave a link, like some Amazon links, where you can check out some of these books. But anyway, that's all I got to say. And yeah, just like I'm saying, there's enough negativity in the world. Find the stuff that you like and let that inspire you, and find the stuff that you think could use improvement and let that inspire you as well. What do you think? Let me know in the comment sections. I'll see you guys later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.